Denson, and I'm guesting here again, featured here again on Reasons to Greatness. And I'm really grateful to be back. The creator of this podcast, Carl Valencia, the great Carl Valencia, is a successful billionaire actor, writer, and director of TV, theater, and film. And so am I, Andy Denson, a successful billionaire actor, writer, and director of TV, theater, and film. And why is that? And not to sound like bragging or to sound too ahead of ourselves or too full of ourselves, is because we claim our greatness and we know our greatness. And I feel that personally, nobody is going to rescue you or tell you you're great. You have to be the one to tell yourself that first. And that's not necessarily an easy journey or a smooth journey. And I think having goals and having dreams is very difficult, but to not dream at all feels like a waste in a way. The last time I was here for Reasons for Greatness, I was in development and pre-production for The Yellow Hotel. And the film is now complete, and it's right now in a stage of being completed and being seen by film festival programmers with no confirmations or denials yet. It's really up in the air, but I'm affirming that the film The Yellow Hotel, which stars Carl, and I'm also in it, I wrote and directed this film, it does well and is seen by these festivals, and they give it a green light. But no matter what, the goal for me was to create the film, and I feel like it will be seen soon by people, many people all over the world, not just in the Philippines, but in Korea and Japan, the United States, the continent of Europe, the continent of Africa. Anywhere where there's screens and cell phones, the film will be seen, even if it's just a clip or a poster. But that was a really ambitious process, and that was a really ambitious type of thing to want to do. And I think that I had to be not delusional. I don't ever think you have to be delusional to get what you want, but you have to really make yourself believe whatever you want to be. Like for me, being a filmmaker, being an actor, being a writer, and living a life, being an adult anywhere in the world, it's very, 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 very hard. No matter if you're rich or poor, no matter if you have the resources or don't, it's all about how you apply them and how you can use anything you have to your advantage. For me, was using my restraints with a cell phone to tell the story of the Yellow Hotel, and utilizing my friendships and my connections and collaborators to make my films. But if you want to be an artist of any kind, if you want to be a musician, if you want to be a writer, if you want to do anything, you have to just go out and do trial and error and kind of really figure it out. But really, the most important thing for any reason to greatness is you're the reason for that greatness. You're like, you have to look at yourself in the mirror in a way and be like, I'm great, I am worthy, I am enough. Because you can't always get that from your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your parents, your cousins, your friend group. Obviously, they're important to have in your life, but for the thing that you desire and what your heart, what your spirit is really craving, you have to be the one to affirm that and give that to yourself too. And if you are on that path of creating something that you've been working on for so long and nobody's noticing it right now, just give yourself like a pat on the back and like hug yourself and really just say thank you to yourself, thank you to the universe, thank you to God, thank you to yourself, because you create that reality, and it's not easy. And external validation from people watching isn't necessarily going to come to you consistently. So that's why you have to be the constant cheerleader, the constant spirit, the acknowledging person within yourself to be that way. So I also just want to say too, I'm working on a manifesto and a zine. A zine is a do-it-yourself magazine, so that's like my next sort of project outside of film, and it's really just about loving and acknowledging, embracing the humor, the drama, the comedy of the Philippines or wherever you live, and it's called Tropical Core. It's my kind of like version of cottage core. Tropical core could be people living in the city, living in tropical places, whether it's in the Philippines or not, and just really embracing the storytelling and embracing the aesthetic of that slower lifestyle. It could be fast paced, crazy, drug fueled, but tropical core in its essence is to show the spirit of the Philippines, showcase the spirit of the nature within the country. And I feel like that can also translate abroad. It doesn't have to be just necessarily in a tropical place. It's just the spirit of taking things slower, observing things, taking yourself slower, taking deeper breaths in and deeper breaths out, and pacing yourself. And that leads me to another big thing for all people right now is like the whole grinding and hustling thing, and that whole nature of constantly needing to do things and constantly seeing your self-worth based in activities that you do, because I think that that's important. Hustling and grinding is good. Everybody needs to pay the bills. It's super, very, very important to do that in this capitalistic matrix we're in. And I think that, but the most important thing to do too, that another component that I see a lot of people lacking is leisure, and utilizing their time not to aimlessly scroll on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, whatever social media. But if you do that, there's nothing wrong with that. But to deeply learn about whatever you're consuming and learn for no reason at all, that's super important, and have curiosity. That's another reasons to greatness, is having curiosity. That idea of curiosity, of not knowing something and then leading yourself into learning something more deeply, or being even more confused by it, is a form of greatness, because you're building and you're creating, and creation is the end game. We're never going to stop creating, whether we are articulating it in a podcast, whether we're sitting alone in a room by ourselves, whether with a group of people. We're always creating, but that's the whole purpose of life, is to create too. And so for me, my next creation, actually, my segue into my next topic, is my next feature film that I'm working on, which will be the follow-up to The Yellow Hotel, and it's called Must Love Ascals. And it's starring Carl Valencia and Yeg Zabayan. They were both the stars of my last film, The Yellow Hotel, and they were really so brilliant in that. Like, I constantly see Carl. He's one of my really good friends. He's like a brother, and I was seeing him a lot in the making of The Yellow Hotel, and also his chemistry that he had with Niegs was very, very good. And I want them to be they are the stars of Muscle Vascals, and so I'm writing the script for that right now. I'm developing that now, and every time I'm working on a project too, this is to filmmakers, any creatives at all. It's like, it seems kind of daunting to, no matter what, to make a short film, a feature film, to make content like this right now, podcast. But the thing about it is if you love the idea so much, the idea will love you back, and that's how it grows. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. Like, working with Carl, particularly on The Yellow Hotel and Inigo, I only knew the idea of just the characters on the page, and then seeing them and their interpretations of the character, and then seeing them again through the editing process. The idea from just the conception of it to the final product, the idea of that just kept growing and growing, and that idea of what I loved about their characters and their performances kept growing and growing, and that's why it is like spilling over into Must Love Ascals. It's also dedicated to my dog who died last year, and to all the experiences that I've had with letting go and surrendering, and also there were so many losses that I experienced, but to pay homage to Ascals or Aspens and dogs is super important, because for me, I think that Ascals and Aspens are a really good representation of people, of kids, of adults, but just in a dog form or an animal form. I feel like we need to love Ascals, because in a way, literally on the streets here of Cebu, sometimes you can see how much people hate certain dogs or how they treat the environment or the nature, animals, and then to show love to something that is so often hated and disregarded is very. I think it's a powerful, energetic change. I don't know how to articulate it properly, but I have a new Askal, but Aspen. Askal is kind of a derogatory term. The proper term is Aspen, but I call her Askal Aspen. But I have an Aspen now, an Askal named Kara, and she's playing a character in the film as well. And so, anyway, all I'm saying is that if you have ideas and you love an idea so much, like for me, it's films and shows and acting and projects and creating films and things of that nature. And if you love those ideas so much and you apply yourself to the resources you have, whether it's a smartphone you have, whether you have a friend that has a phone, or you have these ideas of what you want to do, you can let those ideas be seeded in the soil metaphorically and let them grow, and you'll reap the benefits. And like for me right now, I feel like that's so important for artists and for entrepreneurs and people with small businesses, people who want to start social media accounts or have that type of access already, but they feel stagnant. It's because you need to be more leisure. I feel like you need to practice more leisure and deep focus on golfing or swimming or knitting or singing in a karaoke han or learning how to cook new dishes or finding what your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend like, and then go do what they're doing and just go outside of your own head. That's how you get out of your stagnancy. Reading more too. Getting out of that algorithm scroll, that doom scroll, death scroll, scrolling aimlessly, that keeps people stagnant. And I feel like the only way to get out of that is through leisure activities, taking more naps, resting more, sleeping more if you need to, hydrating more. If you're partying hard, have a contrast of staying in and being with yourself and with hot tea or hot water or something nourishing to eat. And I have just like one more thing I wanted to say, but this is more about not just, well, this is pointed towards like Cebuano artists, and I think that there are so many talented Cebuano artists, whether they're in school still, like college level, kids in general, for example, are already creative and they have that spark, and it's lost sometimes for the most part because of institutionalized schooling, education system, people tearing their dreams down. So being an adult and being an artist purely is no easy feat. And I mean, there's a ton, and I'm not saying there isn't, but there are a lot of amazing, talented Cebuano artists. There's a lot of talented people nationally throughout the Philippines and throughout the world who do great work and don't ever get a chance to have an outlet for their work. And the main reason for that, what I learned in a lecture at the National Museum of the Philippines in Cebu, is there's a lack of people writing about artists. So I'm just trying to put this out there into the universe for more people who are writers to go out into their environment and just write and meet artists and write about the artist. It doesn't have to be an artista, it doesn't have to be a movie star. It can be the local artist who does murals, or it could be people you meet at any sort of like boutique shop or just on the street, people who make jewelry on the street, friends you know that make art, and write about their work, write about what they do. So that way, that makes more people know about the art here in Cebu, the art in the Philippines, the art in your place in Australia, your place in America, their place in Europe, because that's the thing that I really want to emphasize the most for this Reasons to Greatness, and especially to the writers. A call to the writers is an actor, for example, Carl Valencia he is an actor and he does his craft. He makes projects, he acts in projects. but it's not Carl's responsibility to write an article about himself as an actor. It's not my responsibility to write about myself and the work that I did. That's the responsibility of journalism, and that's the responsibility of writers of arts. And there are a lot of great writers that I've met through Carl actually recently, and we've had this discussion too about how important it is for us to really be alive and be like, okay, these are the Gen Zs, these are the millennials, these are the old people, these are the young people making things, and they need to be heard, not for fame, has nothing to do with fame, but to show that, okay, I can do this too because they're doing it, or I can join this group of people making this type of art because it's the same type of aesthetic or vibe that I like, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about being a part of that, as if only there is writing for and information being put out there for that, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's in digital print, whether it's in printed media. The great thing about printed media is it's curated. The thing right now is with AI, and AI is not a bad thing, but right now AI is really overtaking caption writing, article writing, so there's no real human connection with the writer and the environment to the person who's making that work. Like, for example, not many people will know about my work unless if they're my friends or family, so that's why there's writers, for example, to write about me in a TV show so that other people can get that entry point to me. Otherwise, I'm in a closed-knit bubble. And AI is good in ways of like handling those types of tasks of mechanizing things, but in terms of really writing about the beauty of Cebu, writing about the amazing talented theater scene there is here, it's always usually stumbled upon. So I'm just saying to the writers, I love you guys so much. You're so very valid and important, and I really am grateful to the writers that will write about me in the future, knock on wood. But I'm really just like, also, people don't have to use AI to write reviews too, or to write about things that they love too. That's not cringe, and that's not awkward to write about things that you really love, like if it's Pokemon cards, if it's Minecraft, if it's like Mobile Legends. If you want to write like fan fiction about me, go for it. Just kidding. No, I'm just joking. I'm just saying writing is so important. There's greatness to writing. I think writing is slept on, and reading is slept on too. I don't think so. If it's going to be great that if we have all these writers writing about Cebuano artists of all types of mediums, but it's also important that we have readers engaging in reading the content, and also not just utilizing TikTok. TikTok is great. TikTok helps you find things. The algorithms are just sorting machines. There's been algorithms before cell phones and before computers, calculators. But anyway, my hope and what I really emphasizing a lot is people need to stop being stupid and letting their tools take over them, and to start using the tools to enhance and make their lives great. Because it would be a waste of time, honestly, of a life to sit on your phone and staying in your comfort zone when you have a body, you have your health, you have a brain, you have room to learn, you have room to make mistakes, and it would be such a shame to see people just on their phones. Watch this though. Watch this on your phone. Watch this on your TV. But like, it would be a shame if people just continuously go in this pattern of being stuck on their phones, utilizing their phones for every aspect of their life, and then wondering at the end of the day, at the end of a week, why am I still tired? Why do I feel sick? Why do I feel hopeless? It's because you're letting an algorithm just feed you comfort and emphasize your likes and all the hatred that you have on a screen 24/7. Because convenience, at the end of the day, convenience is going to lead us to something that's not so great. Convenience is going to be the downfall of not only the Philippines, it's going to be the downfall of the empire of the United States, it's going to be the downfall of China, it's going to be the downfall of everybody, is convenience. We already pay convenience tax for grab orders, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. That is just like the little smidge of snow on a glacier. So, with all of that being said, I think more people should have more heart to heart Kasing Kasing, which is a film that me and Carl were in earlier this year since the last, what's it called, episode that I was on. I think it's super important that people stop being so stupid because honestly, too, I am so shocked that not just in the Philippines, but when I went to the US, how many people were so oblivious to their environments, to nature, to the spirit, they don't have a God anymore, they don't have religion. All they have is their phone. And why would you, like, a hammer and a cell phone are the same thing, they're tools. Why would you hold a hammer all day? Because you're not building all day with a hammer, right? So that would become an obsession, a compulsive disorder. So I really, really highly recommend that we all just breathe and just really breathe and just keep breathing, because that breathing really helps you and liberates you. And that's the only freedom you really need is your breathing, because a cell phone and any distracting device will take you away from your breathing. Even me, my voice is my tool, but if I'm constantly dehydrated, just doom scrolling on Instagram, watching myself over and over and watching my stories over and over again, what kind of greatness is that going to produce in me? Nothing. Wala lang. Wala lang just means nothing to the people who do not speak Bisaya or Tagalog. But anyway, I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying this as like a little tiny little bit of a wake-up call to those who watch, who are subscribed to this YouTube channel, Reasons to Greatness from the great Carl, who are following his podcast on Spotify, because I say this from the bottom of my heart as a brother, as a son, as a lover of life, a lover of art, as a filmmaker, as a successful billionaire actor, writer, and director of TV, theater, and film. We all are on the brink of something so magnificent, and we are all on the brink of something so great, but people really need to take the time and breathe and not be stuck in their comfort zone. Because when you look at people in their comfort zone, look at who they're interacting with. They're only interacting with people who look and think like them. They only think about this group of people, this is good and this is bad and blah, 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 creating duality and something that we're all just one. We're all just one consciousness at the end of the day, and we're all just in a matrix. Just kidding. No, but anyway, I could go on, but I really have to say so much of a thank you to the background behind me. Cebu City is behind me, and Cebu City has been such a great incubator for creativity for not only me, but for Carl, to the collaborators we work with. This is where we make our art. And Cebu City is not just a place for nefarious things or for silly things, but it's also a place where you can really deeply grow and grow your spirit, grow your heart, grow your mind. And when I was a little boy here, that's what I saw. When back in 1998, I saw that, and I still see that today. But I also can see how much technology is taking away from community and creating cohesiveness, but creating like isolation, and not in a way that produces anything of value, but of more misery and depression and anxiety and judgment. And I think what I'm trying to do right now is to see the darkness and see the shadow inside of me and put it into the light, and make it have union with the light and have a balance, and not be and not see the world as so this or that, but to see it as my own place to create greatness. I created this greatness. I am in the greatness. It's like I am the creator, and I'm also the child of the creator in one. And I only learned that from living in Cebu City. I feel like Cebu City is slept on in terms of art. It's not really. There's so many talented artists of all mediums. We have an amazing amount of talent, and short films. The cinema here in Cebu is still iconic, honestly. You can always know when something is Bisaya in terms of short films and in terms of the humor. and that's a trademark. Um, yeah, I'm literally in a great city, and that's my another reason for I could write a list, a long, 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 long list of things to be grateful for and to be in gratitude towards and in. But yeah, so my closing words for this podcast is the light in you shines bright, and all you have to do is remember who you are. And that remembering who you are isn't going to be something of an aha moment like that. It's going to be a constant chiseling and refining. But at the end of the day, when you remember who you are, you're just God. You're the Holy Spirit. You create your reality. You create the sounds. You create everything. You create your friendships. You create your parents. You create the journeys and their timelines. Blah blah blah. I know that sounds very crazy, but just keep on trying your best, because at least you tried. Because the people who don't try are also great, and they just need some reminders. And so that's a reminder for everybody. You're great. You're great. If you did something you felt insecure about or bad about, it's not the end of the world. You are still valid. You don't need to seek any form of external validation at the end of the day. And if you need to do scrolling on your phone, if you need to do something like that to put you at ease, that's fine too. Don't ever list. There's so many videos and there's so much technology saying to do this or do that. At the end of the day, your breathing is what's going to guide you to greatness. Your breathing is great. When you know how to breathe, when you're mindful of your breath, when I'm mindful of my breathing, I feel great. So thank you to Carl Valencia, who I consider to be just like a multitude of things in my life. Like, he's been a good friend for just almost 2 years now, and I just want to say a big shout out to my greatness would be to Carl and his mother and all of his family is what also helps me stay great. All of their conversations with collaborating with his mother Jeanette for the film Mutia, and all of the people, his family is amazing. And I also want to shout out to my mom and rest in peace dad, and hi to my sister Angelina, because they also were the reasons for my greatness. I'm still a work in progress, but I think if the fans of this podcast watch my first episode on here and then this episode, you'll be like, wow, he's wearing glasses now. He didn't wear glasses before. He was wearing a black shirt in the daytime. Now he was wearing a white shirt at night. Oh, that is great. You see, the simple things in life are the most, like for me, that they're the most tickling to my brain. So anyway, thank you. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening, and continue to continue to support Reasons to Greatness, because Carl Valencia is bringing on a whole lineup of really talented business owners, entrepreneurs, artists, writers of all different backgrounds, whether rich, poor, black, white, ugly, hot, all guesting on his podcast, because those are also other aspects of life of greatness. Those people, their professions are greatness as well, because greatness is also about community and helping community and giving information to community and giving resources, give and take. So that's why podcasts are great. Podcasts are great because it feels like you have somebody in your room talking to you, giving you advice. And this is not unwarranted advice, but also if you haven't had a cup of water in the past hour, drink some water, breathe some more, comb your hair, brush your teeth, say I love you to your mom, say I love you to your dad, and say thank you. And say thank you to everything in your life, because also when you're in gratitude in life, that's when everything opens up even more. That's why you have abundance, prosperity, and wealth, is being grateful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is me signing off. Bye-bye. Thank you.